when we went into the TARDIS, we decided that whoever was sitting in that leather chair directly in front of me would be the king of the listening party. So if you have any questions, feel free to start first. Does anyone else have any questions? Anyone? Okay, you go at the back.
What happened to the song Doctor What?
Yeah, we were quite far into the kind of mixing, producing process when it came to actually wanting to put anything, like any proper production on Dr. Watt. And when we were listening to the album that we already had, we felt like the song Dr. Watt didn't really fit with what we had already kind of come up with. And so we either had the option of trying to kind of mess around with it and try and just kind of like force it onto the album, or just to kind of wait, leave it. And we probably will release it at some point and kind of do something with it that will make it just kind of good enough on its own in a way that we think like the song deserves, but just kind of not put it on this album, basically.
There were a lot of songs like Dr. Watt that didn't make it onto the album, and we're not ruling out using some, if not all of them, in the future.
Hi, I'm from Germany. It's my English speak. And who's saying the teenage heart and everything sending? Was it me?
Say female, that was actually Liam.
Really false evidence. No, well, actually, I can hit those notes, but I wasn't.
It was a girl called Briley who we know who is a singer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favourite song off the album and why?
We had this question yesterday, and I'm no more prepared for it now.
I answered it by saying I don't know if I have a favourite song, but I have a favourite moment, which is the bit at the end of Travelling Man with all the a cappella voices. I really like that bit. I've listened to Teenage Rebel more than any of the other songs.
I feel like Teenage Rebel is the one that I could play over and over again and just put it in a playlist of other songs.
Yesterday,
I love all of the albums. So.
Yeah. Yesterday, for all of us, was the first time that we heard the album all the way through. So I feel like I still haven't had enough, like, of an opportunity to listen to the album to decide what my favourite song is just yet.
You know the bit where you talk about the concept and some of the bits in your video, is that actually going to be in the song, or is it just
Yes, that's actually going to be in the song. For real, yeah.
That's a question over there.
Liam, it's not related to the actual album, but in your last video you had goggles on.
I did.
Where did you get them from?
I have them with me now. I got them from a site called Etsy. There's lots of great handmade stuff there and things like that. If you just look up goggles, you'll find them. Sorry?
Yeah. I was from.
Soldiers would come up.
It was good. I had to stay there a little longer than I wanted to. It's fine.
I feel like there were two phases for France. There was the Michael gets a free holiday at Chameleon Circuit, and the recording process.
Yeah.
And for me, the recording process was really fun.
I was there for 2 months. The first month, I didn't have any of my equipment down with me, aside from my laptop. I didn't have these guys down there with me, so no work happened on Chameleon Circuit during that month. And so it was kind of like a vacation for me, or holiday. But for the second month, that month progressively got more intense. The closer it got to my return date to the UK, the less I was sleeping. And up until last night, it had been weeks since I actually got 8 hours of sleep in solid. So it was a pretty intense recording period in France towards the end there.
Yeah. Actually, when you think about it, you get a free holiday at Chameleon Circuit, and then eventually Chameleon Circuit gets a free holiday at you.
What?
Just something you said, or Ed said earlier. It's like, well, you came, like, there was a trip to Paris at the beginning.
Oh, so you guys got a free trip to Paris?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, we did have to thank Red Bull for that.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
The bit with it had the kind of instrumental from Big Bang 2. Is that going to still be in there, or is that just a placeholder?
That track is called 11.
Okay.
It's just an instrumental thing
Okay.
that I believe Big Bang 2 happened, and then that happened,
Okay.
and then the album.
Otherwise it would just go Big Bang 2, The Sound of Drums, which
We kind of felt that there had to be something to get between that.
yes.
Yes.
What's your favourite episode of Doctor Who?
Ever? Like,
Yeah.
oh god.
I really like Midnight. From this season, I like The Doctor's Wife quite a lot, but I think... Oh, and The 11th Hour actually is brilliant.
Anything that Adam Smith has ever directed. I really like.
You go to The 11th Hour.
Yeah, that's why. I don't know, there's so many good episodes. I really like Blink.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta remember those ones. I mean, that's like right now I'm still very... Nice! Right now I'm still very much kind of hypnotized by The Doctor's Wife as well. And I think that's very much in the running for my favourite episode of all time. But I also have a favourite from each series, which I can't really think about right now. I'm thinking about an album. Yeah, sorry for that.
In terms of the music, by whom were you most influenced when making the record?
Sorry?
In terms of the music, by whom were you most influenced when making the record?
Each song kind of found a different influence. I have no idea. Most of the time, a song, I think of music as being, or a song to me, is a purely conceptual thing. Like, if you have, what's a popular song? Poker Face. Lady Gaga's song, Poker Face, that is on her album, to me is just one execution of that song. The song exists in actuality in a more esoteric space where it's just a set of like chords and notes. So you can play those in a certain way with a certain sound, and that's one execution of that song. So for each one, like Alex wrote Teenage Rebel, and so to me I was just like, this is chords and notes that don't have sound yet. And so I would sit down and just start throwing things at the wall to see what would stick, and eventually it would start to take shape. And I'd be like, oh, this kind of sounds like this band, or this sounds like this song that I've heard. I'll go listen to that for inspiration, and it just would evolve from there. I don't know if that made any sense. But
Yeah.
I have specific inspirations that are more like song to song instead of whole bands or whatever. Like, I wanted Everything Is Ending to be like the duet from Dr. Horrible. And it's not as good as the duet from Dr. Horrible, but I sort of achieved that goal of making like a duet song. Travelling Man, I wrote Travelling Man and then Charlie Thunder. And Travelling Man, there's a song by Christopher Berg called A Spaceman Came Travelling, which is all eerie and it's really cool, so I wanted to write that. For Teenage Rebel, it was just, you said you wanted something with a cool time signature that was a bit different and strange.
yeah, there were a couple times where I wanted to do things that were a little bit weird, in that you don't normally find things like that in pop music. So I specifically asked Alex to write a song that had weird time signatures in it, which is what came out, or what birthed Teenage Rebel. And then there was another one where I specifically said, I want you to write a song that has an augmented chord in it. And that was Silence in the End of All Things.
Thank you very much.
Who do you reckon River Song is?
I haven't made my feelings on this bit. Beyond that, I don't really know.
I just like to take River Song's advice about spoilers on board and not really anticipate too much before the episode airs. So I'm looking forward to finding out this evening.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, I worked a little bit on Confidential, and as a result this series has kind of been, like I've known a lot of stuff about the series before I watched any of the episodes, and yeah, I already know who so there's that. But by the end of today all of you will know as well, so
it's better for you to admit it than just lie.
yeah.
Who's your favourite Doctor Who companion?
Donna.
Yeah, Donna.
Amy.
I mean, with the last series I thought it was Rory, but I haven't liked him as much this series, just because like when after he died about 3 or 4 times I feel like the first time he died I was like, oh no, Rory, but now I just kind of don't feel anything when he dies. That's not the kind of thing you wanna have. That's not the relationship you want to have with a character. When they die you want to actually feel something for them.
It's like Kenny in another
Yeah.
South Park.
Yeah.
I know, nobody knows.
I had a theory before we figured out things about Amy and the baby and the pregnancy, but I thought that he's not supposed to exist, but the universe is trying to wipe him out again. Yeah, sort of. It's a bit Final Destination, so it's probably not true.
We don't have any more insight into what goes on in Doctor Who than you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just a band.
Yeah. Were there any other songs that didn't make the album you guys wrote?
There's a song that I wrote when I first kind of got involved with the band called Gallifrey, which we were working on right up until the end of our stay in Paris, and we felt like it occupied the same space as Teenage Rebel did. It actually came immediately after it on the track list, and one of the things that we really liked about the album is how different each song is to the last, and it felt like it didn't really fit there, like it would be a track that you'd skip. But again, as with Dr. Watt, it's a song that we're quite happy to do something with at some point.
Gallifrey got close enough on the track list that the morning we were printing the booklets you guys will have, suddenly like we were in, some of us were in France, like you guys I think were in France.
It was 3 a.m. and I was writing you an email, take Gallifrey off the thing.
Yeah. And then there was a song that me and Charlie wrote, which is the very first song we wrote for this album. It was just not on it. And it was called Don't Drink the Water, and it was really journey-dendy. It was like, I wanted to travel space and time, and Charlie was a space travel agent. And so he was going through each of the planets, being like, oh, you can go to Skara, oh, wait, the Daleks. Oh, you can go to this place. And it was just like that. So we might do something with that or something.
Maybe, yeah. We kind of, I remember Alex saying that like once we finished the first album, we felt like all of the songs were probably going to sound like Journey's End, and so we just felt like we needed to write more songs like that, and yeah, that didn't happen. But yeah, it might see the light there one day.
Also, I wrote a song called Nightmares, which is on the album, but not the version that was like it's been completely regenerated. Yeah, the other one. There was just like several things in the lyrics and just the general direction of the whole.
The writing process on this album, I think, was a lot more collaborative than with Chameleon Circuit. Just in the sense that we each got involved in the writing of each other's songs, and
we don't all just sing the songs we wrote.
No, I mean I wrote Kiss the Girl, which Charlie sings on, and
I wrote Travelling Man, which Charlie sings on.
Yeah,
so we wrote Teenage Rebel together, and Nightmares was like a big collaboration thing. Mr. Pond was Charlie and Ed, I think.
Yeah.